Welcome back, everyone, and it is going to be a nice, relaxed, chilled out, kicked back stream today. We have got a new image to look at. Has it been spotted? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? It certainly doesn't look like Nessie to me, but hey, I provide, you decide. That's the rule around here, right? So let me bring you over to our cityscape of Bakerville. Yes, indeed. A little sneak peek at the little city I am building that is going to be a big part of things that are happening around here. And what is Bakerville? Well, obviously it's the capital of Speculation Island, right? Huh? Yeah, you had to ask? Really? Now, for some reason, in fact, I know the reason, we had Streamlabs have updated today. You're lucky you can hear me right now. I noticed just after the stream started that everything has been changed. So I hope you can see this. I hope it's looking good. We've got 14 people here. That's more than I actually expected. And remember, Scotty Lopez will be with me right after today's show, right after today's stream for today's Kev Baker show on Truth Frequency Radio. Scotty is ready. He's warming up in the Call of Duty Warzone as we speak. Yes, so I'm going to take advantage of the really low numbers right now, and I am going to give people a shout out. How does that sound? I think this is the best way to do it while there's only 20 odd people here. Quality over quantity every day of the week. We can never get accused of using botnets around here, right? It's one thing nobody can ever kind of levy at me. They can't say I'm gaming the algorithm that way, that's for sure. So big shout out to Polly Nation. Polly, do you like my little holographic KBS that spins above the building there in the background? Actually, it's meant to go a lot faster than that, but I need to compress it. And it's not even finished. Barely even under construction, brother. But it's going to be good. We're going to have holograms in the sky. It's going to look very futuristic. Leave it with me. We've got Little Glob in there. Good to see you, Jules. Saint Marionette. I've got that name sussed now. I talk too much with my hands. I was watching one of our shows and watched it back today. We done a clip yesterday towards the end of the show, a segment about an AI that had wrote a really creepy article. So I went to kind of cut it out and I was going to put it up on YouTube, and then I realised how much I talk with my hands. Very distracting. Even for me, when I'm talking. I didn't really appreciate it, but don't worry, folks. That clip will be up soon. I'm going to put graphics to that. Probably put a little robot voice on. I don't know. We've got Leslie in there. Good to see you. Discord's updated. I've got heaps of people adding me again. I don't know what's going on there. We've got Karen, good to see you. AJ, Trent, I don't know if I've done Trent, I might have done. I think that's probably King. I couldn't forget the King. He was first. King's always first, right? And of course, we've got Jules kicking about in there as well. So, with that said, we've got a little Loch Ness story to look at today. And obviously, because of geography, I'm always going to be interested in the Loch Ness Monster. Some pictures are very interesting. Some pictures are, to say the least, a little vague. And some are just quite blatantly photoshopped. Now, this particular picture we're going to look at, I think it falls into the second bracket of being kind of vague. It leaves a lot to the eye of the beholder and what we interpret from that image that we see. So let's waste no time, because we've only got a short time today before Scotty comes along. If we go over here, bada bing, bada boom. You see how that works? Pretty cool. I know. I know. But hey, leave me alone. I'm having fun. So remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, now is the chance to do so. We're rapidly approaching 5,000 subscribers and memberships. They are. I promise they're on the way. I tried to make the video yesterday, and I don't know. When you try and do these offline videos, when you've become used to doing live shows, streaming, live radio, I don't know. There's something about that whole kind of recording when you're not live. It's weird. It's a different dynamic altogether, but I'll get it. I'll get there. I'll try. So, the Loch Ness Monster. And we come to one of my local publications, and that's the Inverness Courier. And it says a Nessie skeptic from Inverness believes he spotted the Loch Ness Monster. So we've got a skeptic, somebody who is allegedly a self-confessed skeptic, has taken an image. Are you ready to see the image? Now, I don't want to kind of spoil it just before I reveal this image, but it's not exactly anything tremendous, folks. Nothing tremendous at all, in fact. There is the image there. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to blow it up here. There we go. Excuse me. Now, this here, like I say, there's some images that are really interesting. There's some images that are vague. And then there's some that are blatantly photoshopped. Now, I don't think this is photoshopped. And the thing is, because you don't really get a good idea of the distance away from the loch, because some parts quite elevated when you're taking a picture, that could be anything from a duck to a rowing boat. It really, really could. If we come back here, there's another picture there. Hang on, we'll bring that one up. Here it is. Now you start to see a bit more of the idea of this. Now this is way out in the loch, folks. This part of the loch is approaching a mile wide. So it's about a third of a mile from what we're seeing here. Maybe even more, because you got to understand that's a slope that goes down to the water. So there's definitely something that appears to be causing a wake. We can't deny that. But can we definitively say that this is some kind of monster that caused it? I can't go there. I can't go there. There's far too many other logical potential sources for a wake like that. We get swans on the loch. They leave a good wake depending on the way the wind's going, the motion of the ripples, the motion of the swan. You feel me? But it says here, I don't mean literally feel me, but you get me. A long distance walker is convinced that he captured a shadowy shape of the Loch Ness Monster while hiking between the home of the Kev Baker Show, Fort Augustus and Invermoriston. So pictures taken on part of the Great Glen Way Trail show an unexplained long, thin, dark object near the loch's surface, which was moving against the direction of the waves. Now, the Inverness man, who did not wish to be identified, was walking the new Loch Ness 360 trail, an 85-mile trek around the shores, on Tuesday last week and describing himself as a lifelong Nessie skeptic who grew up beside the world-famous Loch, Britain's biggest and deepest body of fresh water. He was shocked and baffled by what he'd seen. He said, I was just enjoying the wonderful views, mind elsewhere, on a lovely, clear, breezy day, when I stopped dead in my tracks. From where I stood, at a clear vantage point in the hills. Now, that's important, because he's miles away. Literally miles away. So, this thing that we've seen here could actually be more... It could actually be a lot bigger than what maybe that image suggests. It could be massive, whatever's causing this wake. Now, it would appear that the wind's blowing the water surface this way, the object's going that way, and that could elongate the effect of the wake, okay? It could give it the appearance of something underneath the surface, or it could be something underneath the surface, right? We can't rule it out, So, there is a very defined dark shape beneath the water. Now, from the image he's taken, it's hard to say there's a defined shape in there. But that's not to take away from the sighting, okay? It might have been the height I was at that gave me such a good viewpoint, because those on the boat some distance away didn't seem to react or notice. I stood absolutely transfixed. It just didn't look right. I have known the Loch very well since my youth, and I know how the strange shapes can appear in wave patterns on a breezy day that fool people and are mistaken for something more fanciful. This was nothing like that. Now, whatever was moving beneath the surface seemed pretty large and was moving directly across the line of the waves at right angles rather than with it. It was long, with two distinct fin-like shapes on either side. Okay, this is starting to get a lot more interesting. I stood and watched for a good 5 minutes before it just seemed to disappear into the depths. Now, believe me, all my life I've never been anything other than a serious Nessie skeptic. As kids growing up, we used to tease the American, German and Japanese tourists. I never took part in any of that. Honestly, get me a lawyer before I answer any more questions, right? It wouldn't me make fun of people? Never. Telling them where they could go and feed the monster. Oh, dear Lord, yes. I don't remember doing any pranks like that. I don't. Honest. We played up to it with the tourists, but in all my years living by the loch or travelling along it, I'd never seen a thing that convinced me or a serious piece of scientific evidence. After what I saw last week, I really don't know. I can't think of any reasonable explanation for it, other than something I really don't want to publicly admit to. Now, the photographs shown here were taken on the man's mobile phone, and he had walked the Great Glen High route from Fort Augustus northwards towards Invermorrison. It was about halfway along the 9-mile section of path. Now, this isn't a kick in the bum away from... Remember the location I told you about my family member? Back after I think it was just after World War II. And they were cycling out of Fort Augustus towards Invermorrison. Misty morning. And some crazy horse-stroke-camel type creature came down off the hill with something on its back. And that's the hill. But that's literally the same hill that I'm talking about. When this thing was sighted way back, maybe over 60 years ago. Going down into that same bit of the loch. Now, I've got a few problems, right? Being not a skeptic, but somebody who does try to scrutinise things with a skeptical eye. I don't go into everything trying to debunk it, but you have to look at things from all angles, right? I have to say, straight off the bat, why on earth didn't he take a video? Okay, he's got a mobile phone. It says that. He's an elderly gentleman. I get that. That has to be taken into consideration. But I think if you can snap a photo, you can take a video. Now, we can only take his testimony, his statement that he's seen things beneath the water for what it is at face value. From the image, can't really tell that. Can't really tell. Now, you could say that there's a dark shape here and a dark shape here, but if you look at the loch, there's dark shapes everywhere. It's not clean, clear water. In fact, it's bogging at some points. Do I think this is Nessie? I think it's in that number 2 bracket. Vague. It's not one of the wow images. And it's not one of the, oh, come on, please, that's photoshopped. Like, remember the big catfish we looked at? Remember that stupid one we looked at? We'll find that. Hang on. Loch Ness catfish. I'm going to bring it up. Images. Yeah, that one there. Remember that thing? I mean, that's blatantly... Come on. I mean, Stevie Wonder could pick that one out as a Photoshop, right? And you can't see the screen. Here we go. There it is there, right? Stevie Wonder could definitely pick that out. Blatantly a catfish. Don't get catfish in Loch Ness. Guy couldn't provide the original file and wouldn't let anyone look at the metadata. I reckon this guy in the story today, I reckon if you looked at his phone, I don't think that's played with. It's just really hard to interpret from 1 or 2 images what on earth we're looking at. So where would I file this? I would file this in to be investigated. It's definitely got an air of the potential X-file about it, hasn't it? Hasn't it? I think so. I definitely think so. Definitely. I was laughing there when he was talking about pranking people, because, yeah, I do remember doing that when we were younger. I can't ever remember telling anyone where they could go and feed Nessie. I always remember used to tell people where they could go and probably, not definitely, but probably see a haggis. There's people out there right now sitting up going, what, you can see a haggis? Well, no, that's part of the prank, right? We used to tell them they had one leg shorter than the other and they'd run around in circles, and that's how fairy circles were formed. And then fairies? And you'd get into a story. You see, it's a weird and wonderful place, Fort Augustus. And all on the off chance would buy you a pint at the end of the day. Things you do for a pint, I don't know. But no, this one here, pretty interesting. We talked about the Loch Ness Monster with Travis on the show the other night. Travis Short, love that guy. For me, I'm open to suggestion. I'm not the supernatural Kelpie option, the shape-shifting thing. The woo part of me, you know, it likes to kind of go down that road. I'd like to think there's some aspect of the paranormal, supernatural at play here. It would make sense for the location. See, if you took Nessie out of Loch Ness and you just left Fort Augustus, Invermorriston, Drumnadrochit, try saying that if you're American, you're going to struggle, and all the way up to Inverness, that whole area, even without the Loch Ness Monster, I reckon it would still rate pretty highly on the woo scale. If there was a woo scale ever to be invented, Inverness to Fort Augustus, whoosh, right up there. You've got Culloden Battlefield, you've got old earthworks, all the Pictish kind of history. Oh, it's steep. It's steeped in rich history, quite barbaric stuff going on in the Highlands at times as well, and all of that has left this almost merging of this world and some other one. You know, you see the Highlands being portrayed as this kind of romantic kind of fairy tale. You do, right? And in some ways, when you start to look at the abundance of different types of stories and phenomena and things that go on, it kind of is. It's like a woo wonderland. And then is it any accident then? But the master of the woo, yours truly, comes from up there. It's no coincidence, folks. We don't do coincidence. But I'm going to come and get your thoughts about the Nessie picture in the chat room. I'm going to shove on some of our new drum and bass music. We needed to shift things up, folks. It just needed a change, you know. So I'll be back in a moment. You can let me know about the Nessie. We'll chill out. We'll have some fun. We'll talk about some of the stuff that's going on online. Then I'll go and get Scotty Lopez. And we'll get right back into another Kev Baker show. And I'm sure Scotty has got a lot to say since we last spoke to him on Freaky Friday. Here we go. Rose in the chat room says, did Crowley? Is he the one that brought it there? You know, I used to think when I was younger sometimes maybe there was something to that. But when you dig into the history of it, and I think the origin story is very questionable, by the way. So, kind of, I don't know, it's kind of ambiguous, and I'll tell you why. Because the first murmurings, the first talk of any kind of monster in Loch Ness, it came from the Vatican. It did. It was St. Columba. He was up in the Highlands. He was spreading the good word, right, as they did back then. And he told the locals that a great beast, something hellish, and the bowels of hell and everything was at the bottom of this loch, and this monster, very, very evil monster. And unless the locals turned to this new form of religion called Christianity, then perhaps they would all perish at the hands of the pesky monster. So, listen, I'm very open to the fact that that origin story could have been plucked out of fresh air. Could very well have been plucked out of fresh air. The fictional woo having fun side of me thinks, Rose, wouldn't it be funny if we could make a case for Aleister Crowley going back as a time traveller and being St. Columba and being the one who created it in the first place? And then he came back forward in time, and that's why he chose Loch Ness. Now that there, I could probably write a book about. It's probably even more fictional than St. Columba's account. But do I think there's something there? I do. And there's one writing that I read, and it's attributed to Aleister Crowley. I don't know if he wrote it. The internet tells you many things. Most of them you can't believe, and even the ones you do believe, you still got to keep an open mind, right? But somebody wrote, and it was meant to be Aleister Crowley. He talked about the monster, and he said that that helped him narrow down his search. He had to find a house that faced north. He had to find a house that was beside a body of water. Had to be on a hill. There was a whole heap of criteria that went into the Abramelin working that he undertook there. And like I say, one of his writings, it's only a couple of sentences where he mentions the monster. That was, he mentioned it, he talked about it. You probably have heard me saying to so many guests by now, you get bored of it. But I always ask them, why do you think he chose there when we're talking about one of the richest guys? Well, not the richest guy, but he had money, okay? He was an opulent dude. He was rubbing shoulders with people that, you know, really were influential. Prime ministers, royalty, things like that. And a dark magician along with it. Why did he choose up there? Could it have been that he knew there was some kind of portal there, or was what he'd done responsible for the uptick in the sightings? Because you can't get away from that either. After Crowley done what he'd done, the number of sightings started to go up. But just wait. You also have to take into account that more people started travelling up and down the side of Loch Ness, the more we moved through the Industrial Revolution, roads more populated, it stands to reason there is going to be more sightings. But was there sightings before Aleister Crowley ever got there? Yeah, there was. And not the ones attributed to St. Columba way back in the day, but mid-1800s, there was reports. You know, I think you have to step back from a location like the Great Glen in Inverness all the way down to Fort Augustus. Even, I suppose, you could go to Fort William. That whole stretch, it cuts right across the Scottish Highlands. And I believe it's actually an old fault line where it's kind of caused the loch to form as well. The two kind of bits slid down each other, caused a big gorge. Could it be there's some kind of underworld opening there? I know that sounds really out there, but it's the Kev Baker show. It is Thursday. Scotty's coming along soon. So we're allowed. Oh, I say we're allowed anyway. So could it be something to do with that? I don't know. But like I say, if you step back, Loch Ness is just one part of many things. The story about the kind of the devilish character that ended up in the dance hall one night way back in the day, that's a story that people used to tell their children, and then they would tell their children. Because whatever happened that night at that dance, when there was allegedly a young handsome man that nobody in the village knew, all the young guys, they were all wanting to fight with him. Why? Because all the young girls and young women, that they wanted to dance with a stranger. Only one problem with a stranger. End of the night, the lights come on, and he kind of looks in shock at the person that's dancing with him, and she senses there's something wrong, and he turns and walks away to go out the hall, and only he was clippity-clopping. I got goosebumps because I've heard this story too many times. Yeah, he had hairy legs and cloven feet. You can laugh, you can make fun of it. What's even weirder is the fact that when you look into the being that Aleister Crowley was trying to summon, some reports say that it had hairy legs and cloven feet. I know, I'm laughing because it makes me nervous. It's not because I find it funny. I've got that spidey sense feeling right now. You know the feeling I've got right now, and it worries me. This is the same creepy feeling I had when I was at Crowley's house. I don't know, there's something even about talking about that place that's... was Crowley tied to Tavistock? No. There's probably a connection somewhere. I think if you look at all these characters, there'll be research that connect them to organisations. MI5, I think he was connected to them as well, MI6. But I don't know, I'm creeped out even talking about up there. So I'm going to shove on the music, right? And we're going to shift gears. We're going to get off this topic. I haven't felt this creeped out since I was at Crowley's house. And I've had some weird things happening lately. That's all I'm going to say, folks. I'll need to talk about this on the show with Scott, but we'll be right back. I'm going to get a drink of coffee. I'm going to turn on some more lights, get some garlic, a crucifix, my Bible. Yeah, I'm alright. Get back to the less scary monster, the actual Loch Ness Monster, right? He's probably less scary than the other one. So it says, yeah, I've had some weird stuff going on, folks. The Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie, is a cryptozoology and Scottish folklore that is said to inhabit Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. I'm still thinking it would be a good book to have Aleister Crowley as some kind of creepy time traveller, do we think? Do we not think that'd be kind of cool? I don't know. So it says it's often described as a large, long-necked Mac Daddy. No, that's the long-legged Mac Daddy, Kev. Stop it, Obama. And with one or more humps, protruding from the water. And you see, that's what's kind of when my family member, and God rest his soul, I never got to meet him. He would describe it as being humped, but more horse-like. More like a cross between a horse and a camel. But definitely humps. Popular interest and belief in the creature have varied since, and it was brought to worldwide attention in 1933. Evidence of his existence is anecdotal, with a number of disputed photographs and sonar readings, and the scientific community regards the Loch Ness Monster as a phenomenon without biological basis, explaining sightings as hoaxes, wishful thinking, and the misidentification of mundane objects. I think that third one there, definitely. The famous surgeon's photo, they say that's a hoax. I think it was a hoax myself. Can I prove it? No. But does that mean it's definitely not around? So if we look here, right, St. Columba. The earliest report of the monster in the vicinity of Loch Ness appears in the life of St. Columba, written in the 6th century AD. According to Adam Nan, writing about a century after the events described, the Irish monk St. Columba was staying in the land of the Picts with his companions when he encountered local residents burying a man by the River Ness. Now, they explained that the man was swimming in the river when he was attacked by a water beast that mauled him and dragged him underwater. They had tried to rescue him in a boat, but he was unfortunately lost his life. Columba sent a follower, Luigi Moku Min, to swim across the river. Now, the beast approached him, but Columba made the sign of the cross and said, "Go no further. Do not touch the man. Go back at once." And the creature stopped as if it had been pulled back with ropes and fled. And Columba's men and the Picts gave thanks for what they perceived as a miracle. So if we come down here, now this is before the time of Crowley. This is the one I was thinking of, okay? 1871. D. Mackenzie of Balnain reportedly saw an object resembling a log or an upturned boat wriggling and churning up the water. Now, the object moved slowly at first, disappearing at a faster speed. Mackenzie sent his story to Rupert Gould in 1934, shortly after popular interest in the monster increased. We got another sighting here, 1888. That predates Crowley as well. Mason, in 1888, Mason Alexander MacDonald of Abreachan. Now, there's a good chance with a name like MacDonald coming from Abreachan, I'm related to this cat in some way, but I'd need to check that out. And it sighted a large, stubby-legged animal surfacing from the loch and propelled itself within 50 yards of the shore where MacDonald stood. MacDonald reported the sighting to the Loch Ness water bailiff, Alex Campbell, and described the creature as looking like a salamander. We're talking about something that looked rather reptilian, ladies and gentlemen. 1933. Modern interest in the monster was sparked by a sighting on July 22nd, when George Spicer and his wife saw a most extraordinary form of animal. Well, George, for an extraordinary form of animal, you are going to have to produce some extraordinary evidence to back that up, right? And they crossed the road in front of his car. They described the creature as having a large body, about 4 feet high, and 25 feet long, and a long, wavy, narrow neck, slightly thicker than an elephant's trunk, and as long as 10 to 12 foot width of the road. Now they saw no limbs. It lurched across the road towards the loch 20 yards away, leaving a trail of broken undergrowth in its wake. And it has been claimed that sightings of the monster increased after a road was built alongside the loch, like I was saying, in 1933, bringing workers and tourists to the formerly isolated area. Now, however, Binns has described this as the myth of the lonely loch, as it was far from isolated before then due to the construction of the Caledonian Canal. In the 1930s, the existing road by the side of the loch was given a serious upgrade. Just possibly this work could have contributed to the legend, since there have been tar barrels floating in the loch. I don't think any of the above things we read about sounded like a barrel of tar. The surgeon's photograph. Now, this is the one, if they got the photo there, they don't. But might be in here. No, it's just a bit of paper. This one, it's like, here we go. Images. That one there. That's got to be like the most famous one, right? Got to be. For me, I don't know. I really don't know. That looks like it's a photograph that's been taken really close to the water. And that might be something that's only maybe that tall. That I honestly think, and it's been said that it is a fake. I think that's just something really close to the water. Like you don't get any idea because there's no surroundings. You can't tell the size of anything, right? But I really, for me, not having it. I don't know. What do you? It's not about me. What do you people think out there? You think the surgeon's photo was on it? I don't think it was, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's a big, huge reptilian. Some reptilian we've never ever seen before. I don't know. You know me and my reptilians. I keep an open mind about them. But Loch Ness, I tell you what, right? Just to kind of summarise this before we head on over and get Scotty. It's going to be a place that keeps on producing photographs, videos, reports and claims of seeing something. What's even more interesting, I think, and this is probably going to be down to me, or on me, is if we can also look at some of the other paranormal activity, some of the other woo that goes on in and around the area. Now, I know my mum has spoken to a lady that she went to school with about an incident that her and her dad had in a field that involved what sounded like a glowing, intelligent orb that was actually, when you come to think of it, or when I come to think of it, it would have been up on, not that one, where is it? There. See how I was saying this was taken up on a hill between Fort Augustus and Invermoriston? This is pretty much ballpark area for where the sighting of this weird orb was. The orb just came down, rolled around, caused a heck of a commotion, and then just away again. When my mum was telling me the story, it sounded awfully like one of these, you ever seen the crop circle videos where you get the orb coming down? The one I'm describing didn't leave any circle or anything like that. But it does make you wonder just what on earth is all going on up there. Is it like the Highland Triangle? Can we maybe plot a triangle that has Loch Ness in it? There has been some boats that have gone down over the years. Maybe not as frequently or as abundantly than maybe you would think with a Bermuda Triangle or something. But I don't know. And I can guarantee, I don't need to be Nostradamus to tell you that before the end of the year, I bet you we're back here again talking about another Nessie image. I bet you. especially with people having more time to watch the webcam at home and stuff like that in the next coming months. You know what I'm saying, folks. You know what I'm saying. Now I'm going to head back out, get a drink of my coffee again, let you all talk about the wonders, the woo that is attached to the Loch Ness Monster. Let me know what you think about what's going on in the Highlands. Are we all just mad? Are we all just too into the paranormal? Or are we so into the paranormal that, in a way, we kind of manifest all of the activity that makes it appear to be the hotspot that maybe it isn't without our energy being put into it? That's weird, right? Could it be ley lines? Still open about the ley lines. What the heck are they? How the heck do we tap into them correctly, and what are they doing? And are we talking about some thinning of the veil between this world and the next? I know there was one person went up to the loch, very skeptical, scientist Marty Klein, I think his name was. He found stone circles in Loch Ness, but it was one of the nights before he actually kind of left there. He spent a night in a boat just down from Boleskine House. He went from being pretty skeptical and treating this as like going to solve this with science to, yep, there's something pretty supernatural and paranormal going on here. I can't quite put my finger on it. And that is exactly what it feels like when you live up there. So let me know what you think, folks. What is going on in Scotland? Remember, we've got the fairy circles as well. Maybe 10 minutes drive from Inverness up towards Dingwall. It's all happening up there. You got the battlefield. Damn, dude. You got Skibo Castle. Haunted as hell. Oh, I'll tell you. It's even more haunted than I give it credit for. What's that all about? It's like a quantum haunting. Yeah, a good name for a TV show, wouldn't it? Quantum haunting. Houses that are both haunted and not at the same time. You decide. I provide. There we go. I tell you what, I am liking this new Bakerville kind of set here. I'm telling you, once I get this all done right and there's UFOs and blimps and all the kind of stuff I've got going on, flying through streets, well, we'll have fun. We'll have fun with it. And folks, that's what it's all about, right? There's enough serious stuff going on in the world right now without me adding to it, really. Myself and Scott will go toe-to-toe with all the serious stuff in just a moment over on the main Kev Baker show. But I want to thank you all. 48, 50 people. We usually get about 60, 70 people here. I am having the best time. It's never going to even pay the bills. I get that. But I tell you what we do here, I look forward to streaming. I look forward to coming along and goofing out, having fun. Sometimes looking at Woo. Getting into the tech talks as well. And then there'll be other days when we go right back and just be absolutely ridiculous and look at Florida Man and crazy crimes. And we need to see what's happening with traffic cones. I haven't talked about traffic cones in bloody months. We need to get a traffic cone related story back on the go. Folks, that's my really long-winded way of saying thank you. Just for everything. Just for being here. For being part of my descent into madness. Yes, we're witnessing my descent into madness. One day I'll be broadcasting from a padded cell at the local lunatic asylum. But as long as I can get Wi-Fi, I'll be there for you troops. I'll be there. Alright? So join me. Not in Bakerville. This is Bakerville, the capital of Speculation Island. Where's Speculation Island? Only those who truly believe get to see Speculation Island. You've got to be a true believer. You know, you can look at any Google map. You can look at any map. It's not there. You have to have faith. You have to believe in Speculation Island. It's quantum. It's like something that I lost. It's like the island in Lost. It's there and it's not there and it's everywhere at once and it's nowhere. All at the same time. And Johnny King. Not very often when you listen to a live stream, does the person live streaming turn around and say, I've just been text messaged by a wizard. Literally a wizard, folks. I know, it's the weird and wonderful world that I live in. So I'm going to go and find out what that crazy wizard wants. I'm going to go and find where Scotty Lopez is hanging out. I know where he is. I know where he is. He's on Call of Duty. He's always there. And then I'll be over on tfrlive.com. I'd love for you to be there. It's the final Kev Baker show of the week. Jason, Burst Paranormal, he's going to be on Freaky Friday tomorrow night. Looking forward to that. He always brings some good woo. So, yeah, plenty to look forward to, folks. And I'm going to get out of here. And I'll see you in all of 10 minutes' time when we're live on KBS. What are we talking about tonight? I have got no idea. Of course I do. Join us. Find out more 10 minutes from now. Can you wait that long? Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. I didn't even get a chance to talk about hashtag Wizinator. I'll need to tell Scotty Lopez all about that one. Join me on the main show, folks. Gonna love you, gonna leave you.